Oh, I'm not even getting the buff. Hey. Yo, I love this character and her kit so much, and you just lost the 50-50 or bought the Jean skin, so let's collaborate. Let me show you how to build Jean. Today we're going to be talking about her best builds for support and burst DPS, and how you can maximize your damage with Jean in either of these builds. Let's talk about her kit real quickly, and then we'll talk about the build. So basically, Jean's support kit comes down to 3 things. She can heal and cleanse, she can do fall damage, and she can do burst damage. First off, when you use Dandelion Breeze, which is her elemental burst, it takes elemental effects off of you and it swirls them. It's also a super big burst heal, and it heals you over time if you stand in its area. It's honestly one of the strongest heals in the entire game, so that and its cleanse is definitely worth using her for. But outside of just her heal and cleanse, fall damage is something that you need to be using in her kit. It takes a huge chunk of enemies' HP based on how fast they come down from the sky. All you're gonna do is pick up enemies with their elemental skill and then hit them upwards. And if you want to see how to hit fall damage twice in a row, watch till the end of the video when we're going to talk about a couple tips. The third thing that Jean is really good at is putting out a quick burst of damage. Her elemental burst does a decent chunk of damage whenever you invest into it, and her elemental skill is only down for 6 seconds after you use it. So it's a quick and easy tap if you're just swapping into her and swapping out, and it does a lot of damage. Since Jean excels at all of these things, her builds can be pretty flexible, but I'm going to show you the best support and burst damage builds. First off, let's look at her artifacts. If you're going to build her as an Animo support, you're going to want to run 4-piece Viridescent Venerer. It is the best option for any team with elemental main DPS or one-hit combos because it buffs Jean's Animo damage by 15%, but the most important thing is that it makes enemies take extra damage to whatever element you swirl with Jean. And that's because the 4-piece set of Viridescent Venerer decreases enemies' resistance by 40% to whatever the element is that just got swirled. So whenever you're running this set, you're going to switch into Jean whenever an enemy has an element applied to them, swirl that element, then switch back to your carry, and enemies will be taking extra damage for a decent chunk of time. There is a downside to this set though, and it's that Jean herself won't be doing the max damage that she possibly could do. Honestly though, your damage is getting compensated for by your main DPS, so I still think it's a really solid set. Now if you find that you don't use many elements in your team, you're probably going to want to run burst DPS Jean with 2 Viridescent Venerer and 2 Gladiator, or 2-piece Viridescent Venerer and 2 Noblesse. The only big difference with these two is that Noblesse will get you more damage on your Q but less damage on your E, and Gladiator is going to get you more damage on your E but less on your Q. So between these two, it's kind of up to you and how you want to play, since both attacks have good scaling. If you want to know my personal opinion, I actually like to run 2-piece Viridescent, 2-piece Gladiator over the Noblesse set, specifically because I like the extra damage I get on my auto attacks and my elemental skill. Those are the best sets for support and burst DPS Jean, but here are some honorable mentions. Our first honorable mention is the Maiden Beloved set. If you've been following this channel for a really long time, you'll know that I made a healing build a long time ago, back when we were all new to Genshin Impact, and I believe it's become quite outdated. I recommended the Maiden Beloved set, but honestly, I feel like the Maiden Beloved set is only good in early game. It is no longer good in late game with Jean. The reason for this is because Jean's Ascension passive is healing percent, and her healing skills with her attack already, so when you get to AR 45 and get her leveled, you really just don't need Maidens. Unless all of your characters have something like 40k HP, they're gonna get healed to full by Jean, even without the Maiden Beloved set. But to reiterate, I don't think it's necessarily bad in early game. I just wouldn't bother go farming for it, because at AR 45 you get the 5-star artifact guarantee, and by AR 45 you don't really need it. The second big honorable mention is the 4-piece Noblesse set. You can run this set on your Jean to buff your party if you want to. The reason I don't recommend it though is because any character can use Noblesse, but not every character can use Viridescent Venerer. Personally though, I'm not going to recommend it, because if you're not using Sucrose, Kazuha, or Venti, you're going to probably be running 4-piece Viridescent on Jean. Now that we've talked about artifact sets, we can move on to artifact stats. So the first thing to talk about and the first thing you want to know is that on the sands you're going to want to run attack percent, on the goblet you're going to want animo damage, and on the circlet you want either crit rate, crit damage, or attack percent. Most often you're going to need crit rate with support Jean, since building crit substats is harder than getting a 30 series graphics card, and you'll likely be using an energy recharge sword. If you feel like you need more healing though, you can build attack on the circlet instead, since her healing does scale off of attack. Just know that if you do build attack on the circlet, you're going to be missing out on a lot of damage. Oh, I wanted to take a second to mention this because I feel like a lot of people are misguiding other players. A big trap people keep falling into when they're building Jean is giving her elemental mastery artifacts, and I don't know who started it, but I want to finish it. Even after 1.6 buffs, it's really not worth building elemental mastery on Jean, because she doesn't have as much swirl potential as characters who benefit from elemental mastery. And characters that benefit from elemental mastery would be characters like Sucrose and Kazuha, but it's a super niche group. You're going to get get a lot more overall damage from Jean if you're using attack and animo damage. And if you're rolling for substats, you want energy recharge, attack, and crit as your main 3 that you want to get. That's in no particular order, just all of those things are helpful. So now that we finished up talking about artifacts, we should talk about weapons because these are pretty important to your Jean build. Here's my recommendations for support Jean. After we talk about our support weapon priority, we can get into burst damage weapons and which ones will do the most damage regardless of energy recharge. As far as support weapons go, the best support weapon for Jean is the free-to-play R5 Festering Desire Sword, which just barely beats out Skyward Blade. Festering Desire's bonus to crit rate and skill damage is just honestly kind of broken, and you should definitely use it if you have it. Skyward Blade is the second best option, and it's literally, it's barely the second best option. It is so close. But Skyward Blade gives you a little bit more energy recharge, so that can honestly just be a comfort thing if you have both options. The next best after that is going to be Sacrificial Sword for the Gale Blade resets and energy recharge, and after that is going to be Favonius. And finally, if you're 100% free to play and building Jean, you can use the 3-star weapon Skyrider Sword. Honestly, the biggest thing that you need to make sure you're doing if you're building Jean as a support or a healer is that you want to have energy recharge. If you don't care as much about her support capabilities and you just want her damage to go burr, then go ahead and take a look at this chart made up by Jean mains and my math person, which essentially showcases the best possible weapons with damage calculations. If you want to take a second to look, feel free to pause the video. You can also use any one of these weapons for the support build as well, but in my experience, having the energy recharge to use Dandelion Breeze once every 20 seconds has been really helpful for support Jean. Ultimately, a lot of Jean's kit and playstyle are about being comfortable with your energy recharge to damage ratio though, since she's so well-rounded. So the best advice I can give you is to try to follow what I was saying initially, but if you don't have the capabilities to do that, or if you just want to play her differently, there's nothing wrong with that. So now that you have the best build options, let's talk about some extra things you can do with Jean that not a ton of people know about. The first thing that I want to show off is Sunfire, which is a combination that somebody came up with a little bit ago. Essentially, it just involves Bennett's Q and Jean's Q and swirling that pyro damage. It sounds like a pretty simple combo, but the use for it is actually incredible. The new Abyss Lectors in Abyss 12 are a huge pain to fight, and Jean's Pyro Swirl with Overload against the Lector shield shreds them. Essentially, the Sunfire combo just allows you to tear through those shields super effectively. So to apply the Pyro Swirl, you either have to cleanse yourself of Pyro or wipe Pyro off of enemies with Dandelion Breeze. You can use Bennett to make sure that either of these work. The next quick tip I wanted to talk about is getting extra momentum with Sucrose. Sucrose can actually be super helpful in accelerating fall damage, which increases the total amount of damage done proportionately to the enemy's max HP. In simpler terms, Sucrose pulls enemies to the ground faster, which makes them take bigger damage. This can happen with either her Elemental Burst or her Elemental Skill, and it's definitely worth checking out if you feel like running double animo because it makes killing humanoid characters so easy. And finally, as always, I feel obligated to show you guys the double fall damage tech. I showcased this in a ton of Jean videos already, but basically if you charge attack an enemy and make them float, you can point down, hold your Gale Blade, and it will pull enemies down super fast to make them take damage, and then you can aim up and activate Gale Blade again to make them take fall damage a second time. If you're interested in any more Jean techs, I have a 5 Jean techs video that I posted on my channel. The link to it will be in the description and in the pinned comment, so make sure to check it out if you're interested. So now you should know everything you need to about building either support or burst DPS Jean, and I hope that you enjoy playing her and the new skin that she just got, because I'm sure that's why most of you are here. At some point during 1.6, I'll be giving away a couple Jean skins to my stream at twitch.tv/Braxophone. I don't want to make a huge deal out of this, so I'm not going to put it in the title or anything. It's more just a reward for all of you who have stuck around and watched all of these videos. I really appreciate all that you do. Like, honestly, thank you so much. If you want to see more Genshin Impact content, make sure to subscribe down below. And if you're interested in joining the community, go ahead and hit the Discord link in the description or the pinned comment, and that'll take you there. We talk about actually, you probably don't want to join the Discord.